So on that journey, what can companies look to do to protect individual wellness in the workplace?
Yes, well, wellness and well-being is a hugely important thing because, as you mentioned, being vulnerable it's uncomfortable. It's not, and it's not to be taken lightly as well. We really do need to look after ourselves,
Mm.
and actually being our authentic selves also allows us to better manage our well-being at work. We can set better boundaries. We can feel better about them, and really bring ourselves to that with exactly what we need. Um, and on the same topic of vulnerability, I personally carry a degree of sensitivity in how I show up as myself every day. It is scary. And I have been told over the course of my career so far that being sensitive or vulnerable doesn't really have a place in business, but I still disagree. I choose to show up every day courageously in my sensitivity, as it gives me the strength and power to make true connections with my clients, with my colleagues, and in turn allows me to just be my full self and not save sensitive Andrea till 5 p.m.
Yeah.
And with that, it also allows me to better tap into my creative side at work. It allows me to, gives me a bit more power to innovate, to reform, to make positive change, all the things that only really come from tapping into a side of me that maybe wouldn't necessarily or traditionally be seen as the thing to do at work. Um, so I think the best thing that companies can do for their employees is to just encourage them that they bring their whole selves to the time that they spend working. It's absolutely necessary for them to have a fulfilling experience. And from a company's point of view, to retain people, if
Yeah.
we can be ourselves and if we can coach people how to do that or do that safely, it's only a win because people feel better, they do better work, everyone is more creative, and I think a better outcome is reached in the end.
Well, that's fantastic, Andrea, because I think as organization employ and invest to develop people, the real push for diversity is not just to, fill in seats with different kind of people on different kind of background, but is to really get the benefit of different perspectives from, the different cultures, the different orientations that work in the business. And as you say, if people feel their creativity is stifled because they pretty much have to fit into a straight jacket as soon as they walk into the door at the office, then businesses don't get the benefit of that creativity and innovation that would flow from that. And I guess as a consequence, then there comes the lack of retention that is likely to follow if people are unhappy in the work that they do on a daily basis. And just permit me to go on a little bit more, because I talked about, as I mentioned the word retention and people leaving the business, that phrase around the great exodus driven by COVID sprang back to mind. And I just wanted us to explore a little bit that link and that place really where COVID has driven all organizations. So all organizations have in the last 2 years been, I would say, forced, because it was something driven by COVID to adopt remote working. So I just wanted to ask, in your opinion, how that has affected the balance between engagement and wellness, because there's been a whole host of articles, right, on companies who are like Facebook and Google, who are fully supportive of remote working and continuing to do so. But then you've got the other range of spectrum of other companies that still don't support remote working and are looking to get people back into the office as soon as possible. So just try to phrase my question in terms of COVID engagement and wellness. Where do you think all of that is heading in the new situations we all find ourselves in?
Yeah, I think it's such an interesting time, because not only COVID has changed so much about what we think as normal working patterns or situations, but I think it's really showcased how maybe little companies used to be doing in terms of engagement and wellness. There were a lot of just sort of one size fits all for everyone. You just, this is one thing that you get to have or do. And I think now companies need to think a bit more and do a better job at really creating some more maybe bespoke engagement strategies on how to engage everyone where they're at. Because I think COVID and people not working in the office has also allowed people to maybe check in with themselves a bit more and say, okay, what do I need from this job? And we've seen loads of articles in flux about how when it no longer fit people did leave because they're like, I no longer can subscribe to this. So I think it's really necessary for companies to really sit and think and be more creative in how they engage people or what they ask people to do in terms of engagement, because people need to prioritize their wellness. And if coming back to the office is not going to fit with some people, they probably won't, and that's, you're losing employees. So they really need to push more effort and time into figuring out how to best serve their employees so they can get the best out of them. It's a catalyst. COVID is a catalyst to that, and loads of the tech companies have done that. How much tech has sprung to allow us to work remotely. They've really put loads of time and effort to making that happen. And I think individual companies need to do the same with their with their engagement and well-being.
And I guess COVID has been that true litmus test of how engaged people are, right? So with all of us working in different locations, I think it's been that rude shock to see how the company communicates and really how people take ownership and implement those values in their everyday workings while they're outside of the office community. So I think COVID has been a great litmus test to test that engagement strategy and approach. And I would hope that many companies are, as you said, reviewing their strategy, having been through this period of learning to see what works and what doesn't work, and of course coming up with new ways to engage and connect with people regardless of where they're working. So
and just to add to that, just because I didn't mention it, but it's, to the base of that, you need to talk to your employees and find out what they want and what they need for you to create this. It's not going to be a black box exercise where you're sitting there trying to figure out, what next. You really start that conversation a lot more deeply, and you need to encourage everyone to be authentic and really be truthful about what they need and what they want, so you can actually put something that benefits everyone. So I would say, this is a tagline, they need to ask first and then listen.
Thank you, Andrea. So we've gone on slightly longer than I hope that we would. So I'm going to try to start to draw the conversation to a close. And I've got two questions to finish for you. The first part is, what advice would you give to other women looking to take up leadership positions in the tech industry? And the second is, what strategies would you recommend to other tech companies looking to evolve their engagement and wellness strategy?
Great questions. I think for the first one, so what advice would I give to other women taking up leadership roles in the industry in tech? I would say, as a woman who wishes to be in that position as well, grow the courage that you need to bring your whole self to the role of the leader, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Your truth will allow others to connect and to follow. It's true in life, it's true in work, you know, it's no different. It's build that courage in yourself and take it forward. Um, it'll serve you best. I think it's what I see and what I admire in people, and I hope that that's what others admire as well. And then secondly, strategies to recommend to tech companies. I would say, as just to echo again, take the time and effort to involve people in the creation of the engagement or well-being strategy. It's you really need their voices in it. It needs to come from them. And for that to happen successfully, again, companies need to ensure that their culture allows people to bring their authentic self to the equation. Um, so yeah, they need to do a bit more.
Thank you so much, Andrea. I've truly enjoyed that conversation and exploring the links between engagement, wellness, innovation, and retention. And yeah, I wish we had more time to go on talking about this, but really, I want to thank you for your insights and expertise on this area, and of course, sharing your time today to speak to us here at SheLeads. Thank you very much, Andrea.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure.
Cheers. Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Okay.